Let's talk now to Laura Weatherly, who's from the MS Society. Richard Graham is a Conservative MP, a member of the Work and Pensions Committee, and John Stillitz is here. John has MS and severe difficulty walking. He's appealing against cuts to his mobility benefits. Welcome, all of you. Richard Graham, can you tell me how it is possible for someone with a progressive condition, i.e. one that's getting worse, like MS or dementia, to apparently get better?
I think the general idea behind moving from DLA to PIP was to try and focus getting the money on the people who needed it the most. So
I'm asking you how a degenerative condition
I agree.
can get better.
I agree. It can't on the whole. Sometimes it can stabilise, so it should stay the same. But where it's deteriorating, in theory, what should happen under PIP is that people should get more money as it progressively gets worse. But there are cases where, you know, this doesn't happen well, the process falls down, and that's why the appeal system is there.
Anybody with MS, dementia or Parkinson's, whether they're stabilised or not, it's just going to get worse. I mean, don't you think you're on the wrong side of the moral argument here?
I think every situation is genuinely different. Individuals are different. I've been through this myself because my mother had dementia for a long time and eventually died of it. And that's why you've got to have some form of assessment by people who are knowledgeable, who understand the diseases.
Are you sure they're knowledgeable? Because they keep making mistakes. 65% of people are getting their original decision overturned on appeal.
Well, the DWP tells me that 6% of people eligible for PIP appeal, and about 3% of them are successful. And that every individual, like John, who's appealing, is one too many, but at least there is a system there, and the numbers are not that high in overall percentage terms.
I mean, it's just no consolation to say at least you can appeal. Wendy Mitchell, who you saw in our film, is so demoralised by the whole process. She's clearly getting worse. She appeared on our programme 18 months ago. We're not health professionals. We can see she's deteriorating. She says, I'm so demoralised, I cannot go through this appeal. I can't do it.
Yeah. Look, in that situation, you know, I would strongly advise her to go to her MP for help.
Why
make
should
sure
she
that
have to?
Well,
she's got dementia.
Yeah.
She's getting worse.
Yeah. Sure, but politicians aren't responsible for the assessments. You've got to have a system.
They're responsible for employing the
somebody,
assessors and putting the criteria in place.
Indeed. So you've got to have a system where somebody decides whose case is the most serious, who deserves the most money. No system is going to be perfect, but if this is not working as well as it should do, then clearly we've got to make it better. Now, there are some things I think that can be improved. So, for example, at the moment you have different assessments for PIP and for the work capability assessment. I don't see any reason why those can't be merged so that you only have one assessment, which would reduce the amount of stress for individuals involved. There's another aspect to it about mobility, which is at the moment, if the assessors decide you're not eligible for the maximum mobility allowance, and therefore your car from Motability will be taken away, you're given 7 weeks before that car is taken away.
Okay.
Doesn't give you enough time to have an appeal and maybe keep your car. And I think that's something the government should look at.
Or maybe don't take the car in the first place. It happened to you, John. You've had your mobility car removed. How does that impact on you?
Sorry, just to correct, I was in touch with the Motability people. They were really helpful. I told them I was going through the appeal process, and I have to say they were very good in saying to me, keep me informed, keep us informed, best of luck, basically. But we're obliged to send out the standard letter from the computer to say we will, you terminate the agreement.
Right. But you're a proud man. How does it make you feel having to go through this?
It's, to say it's humiliating, it is, I mean, I understand there is a need to have a system, but my condition is progressively going to get worse, and I know that if I have the opportunity for another car, it'll probably be one that I need to ramp so that I can put a scooter into, so that I can keep my mobility wherever I go. It is frustrating, it is embarrassing, because you are pouring your heart out almost, you know, to some total stranger who comes in and then does not record things accurately, so that I do feel extremely frustrated, and you've highlighted cases.
Laura, I've hardly left you any time, but how big a problem is this?
This is a really big problem. So MS affects over 100,000 people in the UK. It causes symptoms that affects how people think, see, move and feel. And what we've estimated is that over 1,000 people with MS have already had their mobility support downgraded since the introduction of PIP. And really we think that's down to a number of things that aren't making sense in the system. So first of all, the criteria have changed from DLA to personal independence payment, and we're calling on the government to increase the criteria for mobility support under PIP to really adequately reflect those barriers.
Just to read this statement, finally from the DWP, decisions are made following consideration of all the information provided by the claimant, including supporting evidence from their GP or medical specialist. Sorry for not giving you more time, but I appreciate you coming on the programme, John. Thank you very much for coming on, and thank you for your time as well. Thanks for your company today. We're back tomorrow at 9. Have a good afternoon.